levels like wearing your football boots to a match. It's a good look, the old scrum cap. It's some people can rock it, some people can't.
Some people can. I mean, they're comfortable. They're not really, but your head's very warm.
Do you feel like Petr Cech?
How bulletproof must Petr Cech have felt?
Extremely bulletproof.
Like, I've got this halo around me.
I presume there was no Galwegian couple who would make an end pro for him back in the day.
I mean, I wonder now, would he be able to make a comeback? Is he not playing ice hockey?
He looks like an ice hockey player. I didn't know that
he played a bit of ice hockey. I was thinking, if you've got a concussion issue, / your brain has some not the casing that it needs, but even my fat head fits in this thing. That's it.
How invincible do you feel?
Oh, great. I'm going to kill you now just to see how I can get away with it.
You do look like the worst superhero that's ever existed.
Do I? Are you sure it's not?
How did it, is it kind of, if somebody gave you a box in the head now, would you be okay?
They look good, no?
Yeah, it really, really suits you. It's the best look I've ever seen in the studio, to be quite honest with you.
Conor Shea's going to be involved with the RFU. He's being very coy about it.
The RFU?
Yeah. The Rugby Football Union in England. There had been, look, we're obviously in the realms of a wild speculation here, but one of the parts of Eddie Jones' deal was that he would help oversee his successor. He would stay on after the World Cup and then catapult the next guy into the role. And Conor O'Shea is kind of the perfect person.
You think that might be Conor O'Shea? Now, he...
getting distracted.
Great poker face this morning. No, not at all. Great poker face this morning. You often say that you love to play poker with somebody who kind of gives away a lot. Conor O'Shea is somebody I would not like to play poker with because he would steal all your money and not even laugh as he goes all the way to the bank with it, because he's obviously very coy about it, if that is actually what's going on, if that's what he's being set up to do.
Yeah, he'd be good at it, though.
He'd be fantastic at it. It'd be a great opportunity for him. It'd be like, you'd love to see...
It's funny there being an Englishman coaching Ireland and an Irishman coaching England.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. I think that's the step forward that we need into the next decade of our relations with.
Post-Brexit.
Exactly.
Who knows, rugby can bring us all together. The game with the people.
It's a beautiful
Truly
thing.
our national sport.
A beautiful thing, and maybe Andy Farrell will bring a bit of rugby league over here as well. Who knows? Like, it's... succeeding Eddie Jones is a funny thing, because he obviously brought him to such great heights this year that I guess if you go back to 2018, parts of 2017, you wouldn't have expected him to get to a World Cup final. Then this year, it suddenly became an expectation that they would do really well at this World Cup. And he achieved that. In
the November Internationals last year, if a couple of results had gone, if a few performances had gone badly, there was a thought that they might be better sacking him than letting him continue or presiding over it. But obviously he had a long-term plan. Maybe he didn't, maybe he just got lucky, maybe, who knows, maybe he is just lucky.
He could be. I would also be interested to hear any stories that might come out from behind the scenes over the next few months and years after Eddie Jones has left. Because every successful person probably leaves a little bit of a trail of destruction behind them in a high-performance environment. A lot of managers do it. In football, like Jose Mourinho would be very famous for that. Alex Ferguson would have famously fallen out with people. I'm sure Eddie Jones is the same, just with the character that he is, and I'd be interested to hear to what level that existed and to what point do you actually start to get fatigued by the high standards and the way in which he communicates those high standards from Eddie Jones. So I would say Conor O'Shea would be a very different sort of character on that front. I think the English players would love him. I think he's a very clear communicator. I think as a head coach, quite often, if that's what he eventually got as within the RFU, I think there's a certain element of delegation. You referred to administration earlier on. Like, it's being able to control a group of coaches and what your clear idea is a very, very important part of that. And it seems that O'Shea has it off to a T.
Also understands the politics of English rugby really well from having been involved on all sides of that at one stage or another. Understands elite high performance in England, so would be able to kind of call on all of that expertise from other sports. When you look at a CV for who might be the natural successor to Eddie Jones, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, it is. It's outstanding.
We were talking about London Irish, obviously he doesn't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen either, but I don't think that necessarily prevents you from thinking about what would happen and how you might make it realistic. Like, if they do ring fence it, they couldn't prevent one of the owners from being another union. That, you know, you just can't from a legal perspective. I don't think that would be possible. So if the RFU were to plough ahead with this, buy that, then they're in, and they'd be an equal partner, and there would be no legal mechanism to bar them from being the owners of the club. Again, you know, I don't think this is going to happen. But if it were to happen, what would the benefits be, right? The benefits would be that whenever anybody wants to go away, that you have somebody who is capable of bidding against some of the other teams to keep them. So you might be able to keep Simon Zebo in your system. You might be able to keep Donncha Ryan in your system. You might be able to put a bunch of Irish coaches together there, for example. You could have Paul O'Connell and Mike Prendergast and Ronan O'Gara as your coaching ticket.
Sorry, the Scrum cap is finally broken. I'm trying my best for 10 minutes. I just can't anymore. Sorry, go on. Yeah, Mike Prendergast, Paul O'Connell, Ronan O'Gara, great coaching ticket.
This clip's never going to work now.
I tried my best.
See, I can't actually see it.
I try my best. You're right. It's just the more sense you were talking, the more it just became one giant paradox in this studio. You look ridiculous. Take off the Scrum cap. In fairness, I would look ridiculous with it on as well.
Well, that's just. I mean, you might, but you might not.
If Mike Byrne came into studio wearing a Scrum cap,
it's a medium as well.
You would look ridiculous as well. Like it's just not studio fodder. It's a great Scrum cap. It reduces.
Stick it on there.
I'm not a Scrum cap guy. I'm not a hat guy in general.
Well, I mean, come on. Stick it on.
No, I'm not. Like it's done. The bit is done on the Scrum cap this morning. Anyway, that's what you were saying. So your dream coaching ticket for this annex that we have in the Premiership.
I'm calling it reverse colonisation, just to get everybody on board. Well, this is payback for 800 years, all that kind of stuff. That's how you go and sell the bond.
Maybe they could actually give us 6 counties in England.
Exactly, that's a great idea. 6 random ones, we'll just populate them. Can we pick 6? Like, some of the rich ones in London where Jose lives, that kind of one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kensington, is that even a county? I don't know.
I'm sure that would be part of the negotiations. So what we've got here is who's your head coach? Ronan O'Gara?
Yeah.
Paul O'Connell, forwards coach?
Yeah.
Mike Prendergast, attack coach?
Or whatever Mike Prendergast wants, because apparently he's very good. So, yeah.
Okay, so there's your ticket. Is there any players? So we're forgetting players abroad. So we're forgetting anybody in the Premiership or in the top 14 now. So
we're bringing them back into the fold.
Okay, but let's just
sign in Zebo. Come on down. You're one of us again.
Okay,
we can pick you now.
What about the players that are currently struggling to break their way into regular playing positions in any of the 4 provinces? Who will be the first people you're picking and kind of allowing them to go and spread their wings? And like, do you manoeuvre the Sean O'Brien move last year to ensure that he goes there?
Well, I mean, you could have done that years ago if you wanted to, or you could move the younger lads who are going to be replacing Sean O'Brien. So, JJ Hanrahan goes there for 3 or 4 years and is part of the system and is coached properly and doesn't have that one bad year that he had at Northampton. So that doesn't happen. And at 27, he's played a raft of games and he's absolutely ready to play whenever we need him to. It's more if you were to trace back the development of players who it could have been, like before Devin Toner was getting games, you could have him over there for a couple of seasons while he's bulking up to the point where he becomes a mainstay. Obviously, he was depth at Leinster, but maybe there was somebody else there who didn't get a chance to get depth.
Here's the question, and it's not really connected to that, but what if you're running London Irish and you scout from abroad and you end up stumbling upon a Bundy Aki, and it's very clear after 1 year, and say he's 20 years old.
Okay, and he's living in England.
Yeah, he's living in England.
You flip him over to us.
That's what I'm saying. Is that then what happens? You're like, go to Galway.
Straight over. It's a good question. Can we somehow give them... And is there some loophole in the Good Friday Agreement?
Well, we would have those 6 counties, remember, so they're technically Ireland. We're actually, given the IRFU kind of borders, it would actually be a 38-county country then, but I don't know. Like, is it a situation where our London Irish players are getting paid more than our Connacht, Ulster, Munster players?
I don't think so. I'd say that there's...
They're on the same. Like
some of them are. Some of them might be getting paid more, but the lowest paid there would probably be lower than the lowest paid Irish international player.
Okay. But there would always be that temptation that if you do stumble upon a young player, that the IRFU would have to say, come on over to Ireland, we're going to make you an Irishman within 5 years.
I mean, ideally, this would prevent the need to go around shopping for children around the world to bring them over, because actually you've got more Irish players coming through and you're giving them more exposure to top-class rugby on a more regular basis.
Yeah, I see your point.
And like, you go from having essentially 120 registered players to 100 and maybe it is just an extra 30, so maybe it's exactly 150, and that gives you a better chance because you've got more players.
So who's your captain for this team then?
I don't know. I think that like there's probably, and I think there's probably a bunch of players who are Irish qualified, second generation Irishmen, who would like to play for Ireland but who are in England. I think probably are never going to be part of our system, you know, because our academies are so intense and it's so difficult to get into. We're not really scouting for those guys, are we? Like
the Mike Haley's, Will Addison's, sort of.
Yeah. Even
we're doing a better job of that, it seems, in recent years.
Even Mike McCarthy, that kind of
McCarthy.
Like those guys would have a fairly straightforward link. If you did that and you extended that, then you could get them all there too. So, like, this isn't about known players really. It's about giving a pathway for players who aren't getting the break at the moment, who could absolutely play in the Premiership week in, week out, and be successful. And then you have to just treat them the same as all the other ones, and it's completely competitive. So if there's a good player on the bench at Leinster that London Irish want, if there's a good player on the bench at Munster, or if somebody at Munster or Leinster wants experience living in London for a couple of years, you've got a system that makes sense. I'm not saying that it's going to happen.
Well, congratulations on the fact that Conor O'Shea actually entertained it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he didn't really.
At least he kind of answered your question without laughing it off. I looking at the reaction to it yesterday as well, there was, it's like when you said it, I was like, well, that's fairly radical. But there seems to be an acceptance that it's actually not a bad idea, or at least the thought process is sound.
Frank Long on YouTube says, interesting idea. Current consortium that bought out London Irish paid 3.5 million under 2 years ago. To put that in perspective, the IRFU had 38 million in cash and cash equivalents in their most recent financial statement. It's not a ridiculous suggestion at all. Mike says, great idea, should happen. Help bring London Irish back as a focal point for Irish players, not just for Irish supporters watching an international team wearing green. Boston is where they should look to buy in the USA. There's no team in Chicago as well. Actually not as out there as it might sound. I was just thinking about the States though. The right thing to do would be go somewhere warm weather, so that like you could have a warm weather base all year if you needed it. And anyway, the States is obviously just being a empire building. But anyway, Forma Kiwi says, not as out there as it might sound. Certainly taking a stake in the club and using it as an offshore talent farm would do no one any harm. With the current coaching staff of the club consisting of ex-Ireland managers anyway, and their immediate success in returning that club to the Premiership, it would seem like a mutually beneficial alliance. Rob McGee though says, fund all the 4 Irish provinces properly. Connacht have been underfinanced for years. Don't be worried about buying London Irish. A lot of time when something like an idea for expanding things happens, everybody's like, hang on, we haven't got everything else sorted already. And it's not an either or. It's not like you can't have anything good and new until everything else is perfect. It's like, well, we're going to create this over here, we're going to manage it properly, we're hopefully going to use it to grow a load of different things. Our sponsorship revenue, our political clout, our playing base, our coaching talent pool, all of that should actually help to put some money back into the system or put some better players back into the system that's mutually beneficial. It can't just be like, can't have a good player, let's get them over to London Irish because they're in the Champions Cup. It can't just become, let's leech off this thing here and have 4 provinces, because there's no point in that.
Yes, it's not an either or. I think it kind of just became a little bit of a juxtaposition yesterday when we were talking about the club game and Darcy's column and how that's kind of central to how Munster produce. But maybe the pathway is Shannon, London Irish, Munster, Ireland.
So these comments on the other side. The Dr. FMG. By the same reasoning, it would open the doors for Mike Ashley to buy Munster Rugby. Think about that for a moment before continuing to pontificate so liberally. Except that Munster is owned by the IRFU, essentially, to all intents and purposes. It's really owned by the people of Munster. But, I mean, as a corporate entity, it's not for sale, it's not traded, it's not the type of thing that you can, like, currently sell. Now, if Mike Ashley wants to spend 600 million on buying Munster and down pints with no top on, we take a 600 million. and then buy it back off him in a year for £1, if that's what he wants to do. I've heard some nonsense in my time, but this is top drawer nonsense, says George Byrne. Top drawer, good man. Adam Porter, right, so you guys are saying players are slipping through the cracks, but if you keep more players and the standard drops, the problem seems to be that there are top-level talents going through the net and not being picked over other lower-level talents. So that's the issue. There are obviously players who are picked not on merit. Is that true? Joe Byrne says, I'm a London Irish fan, you'll never buy us, but supporting us with young players would be a great idea. What's the point in sitting in the Leinster-Munster squad as a 21-year-old not getting game time when you have the potential of getting game time in the Premiership? I mean, that's kind of an argument in favour of us coming over and stealing your club from you, because, you know, these things happen. Gerard Fitzpatrick, let Leinster players go there and still qualify for Ireland. No way. I prefer to have provinces benefiting from Irish talent. Maybe sell Springboks back to RSA to free spaces for Irish talent. Yeah, okay. London Irish are already owned by Irish business interests. The IRFU don't need to buy it outright. Just set up a partnership where IRFU player management is reflected at London Irish, and so London Irish players go on the pathway for Ireland selection, including the repatriation of academy graduates from mainland Ireland, etc. Basically the exiles, but structured and managed. Mainland Ireland? It's an interesting choice of words. Yeah, accidentally slipped into it, but by the YouTube comments, shall you reveal yourselves? Obviously, it's pretty out there thinking it'll never happen, but buy London Irish and bring it to the Pro 14 as the exiles and set up an Irish team in the north of England, the Irish Rovers, for Conference B in Ireland would certainly have lots of room for all their talent within the Pro 16, says Hound of Zoltan. Okay, I mean, all right.
Like, is there not logic in that point? It's just the reverse of your idea. Go get London Irish and go get this.
Get them out of the league.
And go get the Sunwolves or something from Japan.
It makes no sense. We want the political clout of owning a part of the league in England. That's the whole point of this, is so that you...
But the point is also to have a fifth outlet as well. A small part, I guess. But
well, you can have a fifth outlet. You could have a Dublin North and South. You could have a Leinster North and South. Like
a D Fortress and the 11 counties.
Exactly. I mean, why not, you know? I mean, there would certainly be a bit of spice in those games.
There certainly would. It'd be the new Leinster-Munster. Who would you support?
Well, I'm from Athy. I'd support whatever team.
The 11 counties?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I live in Marina now, so... the 11 counties is probably going to include, like, Fingal and North Dublin. That county will just be south of the river and north of the canal. that little swathe of... Okay, is that it? Are they all the comments? How is it a huge geographical leap? It's a superb idea. We should seek to have commercially focused clubs under the umbrella to have our talented players have access to top-tier rugby. We should seek London Irish and a lower-tier French club look to drive it to the top league. The lower-tier French club idea, I hadn't thought about that at all. Like, maybe that makes perfect sense. You get one of those dirt cheap and you stick a bunch of players out there and away you go.
That is the most exotic idea I've ever heard. Like, it's the most anti-Irish idea I've ever heard, in terms of...
Un-Irish.
Un-Irish, sorry.
Yeah, not anti-Irish.
It flies in the face of what we're supposed to do as human beings on this island.
What? Doff our cap and...
Wait for CVC and the Premiership to come and steal Leinster off us, to kind of show up to the RDS some evening and there's black and tans on the pitch stealing away the Leinster rugby. Goodbye Irish rugby sort of thing. That's what we're kind of sort of expecting to happen. And in actual fact, you're out there being a conquistador for Irish rugby, Ger.
Yeah, you know, someone has to...
And you have the hat and all to be a conquistador.
Someone has to conquistador. This is a medium. That's why it's a bit snug, isn't it? On that note, that's it from us this morning here on OTB AM. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned to the Off the Ball channels on OTB Sports Radio throughout the day. You can listen to our 2013 Legends interview with Sonia O'Sullivan on OTB Gold today at 1 o'clock as we celebrate one of Ireland's greatest ever athletes turning 50. Check out OTB Sports Radio on offtheball.com/radio and the Go Lad app. If you missed anything from OTB AM this morning, the sports pages, Champions League with Phil Egan, or our interview with Conor O'Shea, you can catch the podcast back wherever you get your podcasts. As I said, the best place is the Go Lad app. You can watch it back on our YouTube channel or you can subscribe there as well.